Least common multiple. I can find the least common multiple of two numbers. So we need to review. What's a factor? You probably remember the one word, and I want you to write that down, facts. It's just two numbers multiplied together, or it's the facts. So let's write the facts of 12. So I hope you wrote facts. It's the facts of 12. You can list them out. I like to make myself my little T-chart again. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Multiples and factors are the two most commonly mixed up words in math. Factors are your facts, so if you can remember that, multiples just mean to multiply or get bigger. So looking at the same number, if we looked at the multiples of 12, we could start with 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. 12 times 4 is 48. 12 times 5, 60. Multiples can go on forever. So you're just multiplying to get bigger. Facts are smaller, they're your factors of it. So hopefully you'll say the facts, instead of saying factors of 12, just say the facts of 12 and multiples of 12. And hopefully that'll help you not to get them mixed up. So right now we're going to find the least common multiple, LCM, of 6 and 10. In order to do that, we need to make a list of our multiples. So let's start with 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. You don't have to write a lot of them. You're just trying to find one that matches. So let's start with 10 and see if we can come up with a match. 10. 10 times 1 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. You are already above the 18, so you know you have to make this one bigger. 6 times 4, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. Well, 10, 20. The next multiple, 10 times 3, is 30. You can stop once you find your match. And in this case, 30 would be my match. So that's how we find the least common multiple. The least common multiple is the smallest number they have the same. It's not going to be the biggest, the greatest common multiple, because multiples go on forever. So it's going to be the smallest one they have in common. One way to do it is to create a list. Another way to do it is to use prime factorization. Hopefully remember that means to make a tree. So let's factor 75. 2 and, 2 doesn't go in there, but 3 does. 3 times 25 is 75. 3 is done, it's prime, so I circle it. 5 gets broken down, 25 gets broken down to 5 and 5. So there it is. So write it out in expanded form. This is a step many of you want to skip. Okay, now let's do 100. We have 4 times 25. 4 is broken down to 2 and 2, both prime. 25 is broken down to 5 and 5, both prime. So we have 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. All right, we use the same idea to find least common multiple we do to find greatest common factor. Let's use our Venn diagrams. The first thing we find, or the first thing we have to remember, is this circle in the Venn diagram, I'm going to change my color, represents the 100. This circle over here represents 75. So let's first find what they have in common. They have a 5 in common, so we put 1 5 in the middle. They have another 5 in common, so we put that in the middle. So now let's just look at this 75. So you should know the greatest, I can write it over here, the greatest common factor is 5 times 5, which is 25. It's a number That's a factor of both 75 and 100. So let's look what they have left over. This one, 75, has a 3. So if I only look at this side of the circle, it's 3 times 5 times 5. There it is. Now let's look at the 100. I have a 2 and 2 left over. So let's just look at this circle. Does that match your prime factorization here, your expanded form? Well, 5, 5, 2, 2. 5, 5, 2, 2. Now what I need to do is I multiply all of those numbers together that are in the circle. So I would take 3 times 5 times 5 times 2 times 2. So I'm going to write it here. 3 times 5 times 5 times 2 times 2. And when I do that, I get 300. So that tells me my least common multiple would be 300. It's easier doing it this way than making a list because the number gets so big. I want you to stop the video right now and try the next one. I want you to find the least common multiple of 12 and 20. Stop the video now to try it. All right, let's take a look. First, you should have made your factors trees for 12 and 20. So 12 could be 2 and 6, 3 and 4, something like that. 2 is prime, so 6 is 2 and 3. Again, I want to write them out. I need to write them out in expanded form. You can write them side by side, on top of each other, it doesn't matter. So we have 4 and 5. 5 is prime. So now we have 2 and 2, and 2 and 2 are prime. So we have 2 times 2 times 5. So now we make our Venn diagram. Remember, one circle represents 20, the other circle represents 12. So first let's get what's in common. Let's find that greatest common factor. They have a 2 in common, so like 1, 2 in there. They each have another 2 in common, so it's another 2. Now 12 has the extra 3, so I check 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. That circle's done. 20, 2, 2, and 5. It's kind of the leftovers go here. That's 20. So my GCF would have been 4, but now I multiply straight across. 3 times 2 times 2 times 5. 3 times 2 times 5. Times 2 times 5. So let's see if we can do this. 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 times 6 is 60. So you can multiply in any order because of the commutative property. So 3 times 2, which is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. The least common multiple of 12 and 20 would be 60. Go ahead and give your homework a try.